Hello everybody, this is Manu S and welcome to another Eternal News video. So today we're gonna continue talking about spoilers, and today it's time to discuss all the Inspire spoilers with you guys that we have gotten so far. And it's a fair share, so let's take a look. Okay, so first off we have Journey Guide. I think this card's actually pretty cool and decent. First of all, it's a 1-cost 0-3. So as an 0-3 it blocks all the 1-drops and a couple of 2-drops for free, so it's a decent early game blocker, so it's not irrelevant as a body. And second of all, it has a relevant unit type in Explorer, so that might also come up. But that's not all. Obviously the main deal is the Inspire, and I think the Inspire is actually pretty good. Sure, it's not as good as an actual accelerant like Initiative of Descent, but it can allow for some more things, like if you get 2 units that are reduced by this, you can suddenly play both in one turn that you otherwise couldn't, so you can basically get more than 1 power boost in a single turn from this, which you couldn't with Initiate. So it has a different effect on the game, and yeah, the fact that it also is actually relevant as a body, as like a defensive unit, this might be interesting. I'm not sure if it's in the end gonna find a home, but it's a card that is definitely interesting and constructed worthy, but not guaranteed a constructed impactful card. But yeah, keep it in mind. I think in Limited this is way lower variance, higher variance and lower impact, because acceleration in general is not as good in draft the way the draft formats work right now, and this is even worse since it doesn't help with warp, which is like one of the big upsides of traditional acceleration, that it makes warp yeah, better in the sense that you can usually play it a turn earlier than you normally would if it shows up, so it increases the situations where you get the warp card for free. So yeah, in Limited this I think is actually worse than in Constructed. Next we have Duskraider. This is kind of an interesting card. It's a 2-power 2/2, which is not that great. It has Nightfall, also something that I kind of hate, but in the context of Inspire is actually kind of nice, because you get a bit more out of the Nightfall than the opponent, because drawing extra cards means potentially drawing extra units, and drawing extra units means more value from the Inspire, so it's decently balanced here with the Nightfall, that it benefits you more than the opponent, and it's probably going to be in an aggressive deck. So the Nightfall is actually not that bad here. It doesn't have a relevant unit type in Warrior, unfortunately, but being a cheap and reasonable 2-drop for sort of aggressive decks that has a really powerful Inspire like this, since units you draw get Berserk, is actually really strong. We don't know yet how Berserk is actually going to play out in reality. We know how it works, but I think Berserk is actually worth a fair share on a unit, so I think it's actually one of the more powerful Inspire benefits that you can have. So don't count this out just because it's a 2/2 for 2. It might just be worth it because the Berserk is actually pretty appealing and powerful, especially on charge units. Like, imagine this in, I don't know, like a Skycrack aggressive deck where you have a couple of charge units, and then suddenly this Berserk on your charge units is super powerful, like a champion, Skycrack champion, Champion of Fury, with Berserk hitting the opponent for 8. The first turn you play it on an empty board out of nowhere is super powerful, for example. And yeah, also keep in mind that Berserk does not work, like Inspire does not work with Warp. So if you warp the unit, you're not drawing it, so it doesn't get the Inspire benefit. Like your Cinder Yetis won't get Berserk from Duskraider if you warp them, for example. Next we have Manufacturer. It's not an Inspire card, but it's a card they spoiled in the Inspire article that I will link down here. So you can check it out. It only contains some of the cards we're going to talk about, but it's the like reveal article for the mechanic. This card unfortunately is really bad. For 3 you basically get an assembly line, but you get it in your hand. And the upside is that the card has warp, unlike actual assembly line, but you also have to play all 3 grenadines, which costs you another 3 power. So basically what you get is the chance to pay 3 power to draw a free assembly line, and if you don't get to warp it, you just pay 3 to draw an assembly line, which is pretty bad. Sure, the fact that you draw the units means they get Inspire benefits, but they're like 1/1 grenadines. Most of the Inspire benefits are laughable on those. So this card's pretty awful. I think the card should cost 2, and then it still wouldn't be very good, but at least like remotely considerable. I think the way it's right now, it's just like hot garbage, basically. Unplayably bad. Next we have Breeze Dancer. This is kind of cool in a way, because this is basically the unit version of Crown of Possibilities. It's a 2/4 flying. It's an elemental, so not a relevant unit type. Costs double primal, so you have to be a bit more in primal. And on Inspire, units you draw get a random battle skill, just like from Crown. So yeah, not too likely that this unit is gonna be very constructed relevant. It's pretty small for a 4-drop. The Inspire is high variance. Random effects are just not very good. And it's also less reliable than Crown in a way, and slower. So yeah, not too high on this. This is probably just kind of hot garbage that looks kind of cool and cute, but in the end it's just bad. Next we have Temple Shihan. That's actually a really cool one. So we get a 3/3 for 3 for double primal. That's okay. It's a bit underpowered for a 3-drop, but not terrible. And on Inspire we get flying, so that's a pretty big benefit on a lot of units. And on Summon we get to play an inferiority complex on an enemy unit. As far as I know from what I've found, nobody still knows what inferiority complex is, but it's some kind of curse that likely cripples an enemy unit in some form. Maybe it reduces their attack or something. I don't know, I can only guess. And the fact that it's an unseen is also noteworthy, since it's a relevant tribal unit type that might matter here and there. So yeah, this is a pretty cool and decent card. Giving flying to all the units that you draw from there on out can be pretty strong. And depending on how good inferiority complex is, this card might actually be great. And is probably in the dark without knowing what exactly inferiority complex does. Already at least decent. Basically some kind of debuff on an enemy unit when you play it, the flying on Inspire, and a 3/3 for 3. Sounds like a pretty good deal to me on a relevant unit type to boot. Next we have Magus of Celerity, another pretty nice Inspire card in my book. It's a Praxis card, so multi-faction. On Inspire we get Charge. That is super powerful, especially in like say Praxis midrange, where you have all these powerful beefy units that benefit a lot from Charge. Like imagine drawing like a World Breaker Behemoth and it just suddenly has Charge. That's amazing. And to make it a little better, because it's just a 3/3 for 3 in 2 factions, we get a Scout on Summon to make our deck a little more consistent and also increase the chance to draw a unit ASAP to impact this, so it synergizes like nicely with the Inspire itself. So I really like this card. I think it's pretty cool, and it might become a staple in some form of constructed deck, because giving charge to all your future units is really powerful, especially if they're like big, heavy hitting monsters like in Praxis. And in Limited, the 3/3 for 3 that scouts and has a nice upside like this is also very welcome, so it's also a great limited card. Next, Frontier Bart. This is actually another kind of cool and interesting card. It's a 2/4 for 3. It's an Oni, so also sort of relevant tribal unit type. When one or more of your other units hit the enemy player, Frontier Bart gets +1 attack permanently, but it doesn't matter how many. If you hit the opponent with 3 units, you still only get +1 attack. On Inspire, the units you draw get Overwhelm. It's not very powerful, but it makes it more likely that Frontier Bart keeps growing. So basically what you do with this in an aggressive deck is you drop it on turn 3, attack, hit the opponent for damage, so you get a 3/4 for 3 that can grow further and has the like minor benefit of giving the rest of the stuff that you draw Overwhelm, which may or may not matter that much. But yeah, all in all, I think the card's pretty well rounded and pretty good. Seems like a great fire 3-drop, maybe the best fire 3-drop so far, because fire really has been lacking in the like proactive 3-drop department of more resilient stuff. We have only had like kind of weak or situational 3-drops. Like the best one we had so far basically was Cinder Yeti, which was also more utilitarian and underpowered in stats. So this is a great card and fills a fairly big hole in fire. And last but not least, we have the most recent Inspire spoiler, Black Hole War Leader. It's a 2/2 for 2 Minotaur Soldier, also relevant unit type in Minotaur. And when Black Hole War Leader hits the enemy player, increase her Inspire by +1/+1, and she gets +1/+1. So really powerful. She keeps growing. The 2-drop that keeps scaling really well into the late game. Card is like a bit weaker than Awakened Student, but fairly close in power level, I would say, especially given that she is mono-faction. And the Inspire is super powerful, so basically from turn 3 after combat or turn 4 on, all the units you draw get at least +1/+1 or more if you can attack with War Leader once or more. So yeah, seems like a super good Shadow 2-drop. Shadow really is having some choice in the 2-drop department now between Instigator and Ripknife Assassin and Black Hole War Leader. Really have a bunch of powerful 2-drops. Plus there's the 2 unseen 2-drops, the 3/2s, that are also very reasonable options depending on the deck. So Shadow has a lot of great options in the 2-drop slot now. And yeah, this is a card that can easily snowball and take over the game really hard, which is actually something I don't like. Like I think this card can be really disgusting. If you are on the play and drop this on turn 2 and can properly support it, this card can easily run away with the game really hard in a way that it's super hard to recover from it, which is something that I'm not a big fan of. But in terms of power level, gotta give it to the card. It's pretty powerful and high impact 2-drop. Like 2-drops scaling this well into the late game potentially are nothing to sneeze at. So yeah, that's it for the Inspire spoilers. There's a lot of really interesting and cool and powerful constructed cards in there, and most of them are also pretty good for limited. So pretty exciting. I think they're gonna give another like kind of cool dimension to the game, this type of stuff, and also more appeal to certain like deck manipulation type cards like Second Sight and so on. So something more cool to play with and generate incremental extra value with these Inspire mechanics. Okay, let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about the cards and my take on them, and where you agree or disagree. And yeah, we will discuss the Spellcraft mechanic article in the next video series to try and catch up with the stuff that has piled on. Sorry for being behind. I think that's the first time that I'm this behind on discussing spoilers. Once you get behind, you keep staying behind if they keep pumping out spoilers so constantly. But yeah, there will be the next video, the latest tomorrow. So until then, don't forget to like down below, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications to not miss the future content if you haven't already. And yeah, that's it again for this Eternal News episode. I'm your host Manu S, and I thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye!